After being flown over, federal leaders finally landed in Saskatchewan this week. Two of the three major party leaders visited Saskatoon, and down the highway, a Saskatchewan Party MLA is taking heat for comments made about one of those federal leaders. Here to discuss our political panel, Murray Mandryk writes a political column in the Regina Leader-Post and Saskatoon Star-Phoenix. We're also joined by Jeremy Symes, who covers the legislature for the Canadian Press. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning.
Good morning, Murray.
Good morning.
Jeremy, let's start with you. The Saskatchewan Party MLA has had to apologize. Why is she apologizing? What's the fallout?
Yeah, so this is Raquel Hilbert. She's the MLA for Humboldt-Watrous. So 2 weeks ago, on March 25th, during the budget debate, she called federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh a terrorist. Now, this came in a speech when she was coming after the federal government for its policies harming Saskatchewan. She says, and I'll just quote her directly here, she says, "We did not hear the opposition denounce their federal leader as being a terrorist in India." And so there's a lot of disinformation around this, spread in India because Singh has been critical of the Indian government. So that seems to where she was getting that from. Reporters were tipped off about it, though, this weekend. Leader-Post reporter Alex Salome reached out to the government about it, and Hilbert apologized in a statement. She also apologized in the House as well this week. But lots of fallout, like you mentioned. We had the opposition NDP press, Premier Mo, on this, asking for him to condemn her remarks. Vicky Moat, she's the NDP House leader, says it was premeditated hate. Tajinder Grewal, he's also an NDP member, called it hate speech. And in response, Mo said it was very, very inappropriate. He thanked Hilbert for her retraction because she did retract her remarks in the House, but there's been no kind of reprimand or removal from caucus. We also saw the World Sikh Organization of Canada come out saying more needs to be done to repair relations with her and the Sikh community and the Saskatchewan Party government. Called for her removal from committees and says she needs to take anti-racism training as well. Now, Singh himself, the leader at the center of all of this, was asked about it. He says he's not taking it personally, but it's something that hurts Sikh youth and just is hurtful in general.
And Murray, what's your reaction to all this? It's quite a big reaction just in general, as Jeremy outlined, from all over to this comment.
Well, I know where to begin. From a province standpoint, it's embarrassing. We look like stupid rednecks because this is an elected official. Scott Moe has an MLA that looks like a stupid redneck, and he is not apologizing for someone who said something that looks like it's coming from a stupid redneck. And this is hugely problematic for Scott Moe, the Saskatchewan legislature as a whole. The NDP, by the way, should have raised this days ago when it happened as a point of privilege. They could have. One suspects they may be a little bit of political interest in the NDP not doing that, but that's a minor aside, as is the fact that it was absolutely ridiculous for Speaker Todd Gowdy not to force her to apologize at the time. Had that been dealt with at the time, maybe it wouldn't have been at least as big a politically embarrassment issue. But I don't know if Scott Moe cares. Like, I mean, if you're basically sitting there and saying, well, it's good enough for her to withdraw the comment and apologize, and I'm satisfied. He didn't speak to the media afterward. This woman didn't have the courage to justify her remarks or come before the camera and apologize. So it's political cowardice, which often happens. This is something that has occurred previously in the Sask Party caucus. Former Speaker Randy Weeks raised it during the campaign, and one might say, okay, once again, it was a political decision to raise it at that time. But when you have people saying things on the inside of the Sask Party and then blurting them out on the outside, and this is a whole new selection of Sask Party backbenchers doing this, where is the growth? Where is the improvement? Where is the accountability from Scott Moe? And how embarrassing is this? Like, if I sound a little bit disgusted, I probably am, because you get so sick and tired of this because it's the same thing over and over again. Saskatchewan is a bunch of rural rednecks. Saskatchewan is a bunch of rural rednecks. And you're tired of it. But you're even more tired of the people that come forward and reinforce this image and are cavalier about the way they do it. And Scott Moe is in that category. This MLA is in that category. The whole Saskatchewan legislature is now in that category. No accountability here. It's embarrassing.
And just to put a point on this wasn't a heckle.
No.
And this wasn't something that was said behind closed doors and was overheard in the hallways. This was something that was in a prepared speech.
From someone who was allegedly a teacher. I guess it's a good thing she's not in the classroom. You know, that's the only thing I can say about this. Like, grow up. Be a person.
And speaking of those federal leaders, Jeremy, Jagmeet Singh and Mark Carney held events in Saskatoon this week. What did you take away from their appearances here in Saskatoon?
Yeah, so Singh, he made a brief stop at a business in the evening in Saskatoon, and then he had a press conference the next day. But he was just there to promote the NDP's Here for Healthcare, and that this message of the NDP would not leave anyone behind during this time of tariffs, uncertainty, and effects to our economy. He was accusing the Conservatives and the Liberals of cutting services at a time when maybe that shouldn't be the case, especially when people will be hurting. And he was also promising to close offshore tax havens, so tax revenue in Canada would be collected to generate more money for the government. Carney, Liberal leader Mark Carney, was in Saskatoon at the Remy Modern Art Museum. He had a bit of a rally there talking about counter tariffs and how Canada would fight back against Trump's tariffs if reelected. And he would use the revenues from those tariffs to support workers affected by whatever happens. He also talked about building trade relationships with other countries, and he also made some pre-announced campaign promises, building more homes, making Canada an energy superpower on green energy and on oil and gas. No mention on the canola tariffs, though, which has been a big story here in Saskatchewan, and he didn't have a media availability, so reporters here couldn't ask him questions about that. And then another thing that stood out was the heckles that happened during his rally. One teenager was heckling 51st State, and we all know what that means with Trump wanting to annex Canada. Carney said, that's a misguided statement, and it was met by boos in the crowd. And then we had a pro-Palestine protesters there heckling, calling what's happening in Gaza a genocide. And again, Carney said, I hear you, and your voice was heard.
Murray, we're expecting that, or maybe anticipating that the Conservatives will make an appearance here in Saskatchewan. Do you think that is in the cards over the next number of days here before we go to the polls?
Oh, I'm sure Pierre Poilievre will. I don't know why he wants to, unless he wants to get another shot of him in front of a big rally, which seems to be the strategy. Pretend that that there's momentum that may or may not be existing on the national level. Certainly momentum here because they'll win 13 seats, maybe not the North. I think there's legitimate reason if you want to criticize Jagmeet Singh and Mark Carney for their policies. It was probably underscored in their trip to Saskatoon this week. Jagmeet Singh comes in here and talks about what the NDP and Jagmeet Singh want to talk about, but nothing about what Saskatchewan people want to talk about, which is in fact carbon tax, which is in fact other issues and what you might do about this and how our economy is being affected and how tariffs are affecting the economy. Similarly with Mark Carney in terms of the issues in play here. So I don't think that the trip did them much good. Interesting, they both went to Saskatoon and not Regina. Obviously, Regina Wascana is the last southern seat. The Liberals had a shot at winning, but it doesn't seem like the Liberals are very serious about trying to win Regina Wascana anymore. So politicians have to be someplace during the election campaign, and it's more evident when they're not here, but they don't necessarily do themselves a lot of good by coming here. And I can't see how Jagmeet Singh, who had no support from any provincial NDPers of note, and same with the Liberals. As a matter of fact, the Liberals kind of have no provincial support at all and not much federal support in this province. I don't know what really was accomplished by their trip here, to be quite frank.
And Jeremy, you spent some time in Saskatoon covering the drug crisis. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was really eye-opening for me to go there, go on the ground, see what's going on. I did a ride-along with the fire crews there, and they took me around to where there's a lot of homelessness in the downtown area along 20th Street West there. And when you really look around, you go into the alleyways, you do see a lot of people struggling. And so that really stood out. The good thing is that the numbers are down, like the number of calls they're getting is down from 2 weeks ago. It's still not obviously at a point that they want it to be. But when I was on this ride along, the alarm goes off and they have to race towards an overdose, and they get there and the person's fine by the time they get there sometimes, but not always. And so these alarms are really loud, and they're explaining how it was one after the other. And the day I went, it wasn't that intense, but you can imagine what that would be like. What I also took away is these first responders, we use these words like crisis, and they're really calm, cool, collected, and measured people. They're professionals, and they really understand the community they're serving. So I took a lot away from that. I went to prairie harm reduction as well. And what I took away from there was, when you go to the drop-in center there, you walk down this alleyway and there's names scrawled on the wall there. Those are all lives that were lost mostly to overdose. And so that really hit home. It was like a memorial wall. You're talking to people there. They're talking about their friends, their even loved ones, some of them dying because of that. And their faces just really kind of burn in my memory. And it puts a humanity to this entire issue. So that was really, really eye-opening just when you look around and you actually pay attention just how big the homelessness crisis is in Saskatoon. It's big in Regina here too, but I felt it a lot there.
Jeremy, thanks for your time. Murray, thanks for your time as well.
You're welcome.
That's Jeremy Symes, who covers the legislature for the Canadian Press. Murray Mandryk writes a political column in the Regina Leader-Post, and they were part of our weekly panel. You can turn things over to you. Send us an email or talk back if you want to weigh in on what Murray and Jeremy had to say today.